Okay, it looks like we have a live feed, and this is on delay. I'm not really expecting a huge chat room on Sundays, so this will archive and be a wonderful thing for people to watch when they get out of church. And we really feel like what happened to you guys was really very unique and interesting, and yet you really didn't know. Well, okay, first of all, for those of you who don't or are not familiar, this is Anita Jo Intenzo and her son Chris, and I really Kelly, I want to welcome you to the show and really appreciate you taking the time out from your day-to-day to talk to us about what you went through.
Well, thanks for having us on, Kat.
Now, I'm going to do one thing here, guys, because I need my audio to be coming through something. So give me just 1 second. For some reason, I completely need you coming through my speaker here. So okay, you gotta love, technical things. Let's take a look here. All right, that's okay. If it doesn't want to play nice, then we'll put you right absolutely next to it. All right. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah. Yes, we can. How about with us, Kat?
I think give Barry a call and see if audio-wise he can hear us pretty good.
Okay.
We're just going to sound check to be sure that everybody else can hear well in the room as well. So just hang tight and look pretty, because you look really pretty. You're all dressed up. Chris is on blue. Okay, there we go. Now,
I'm getting voicemail, so I'm going to go into the chat room.
Okay.
See if anybody's in.
All right. Now, you should be getting this option here. Same as system. Okay, guys. Okay, go ahead and say something for me, Anita.
Testing 1, 2,
Perfect.
3. Glad to be on your show.
Now we got it. Perfect. Yeah, you gotta love it when things unpair and pair. And I'm not like Chris. You're a guy. You're probably super technical, and something. We have a technical issue. I'm usually pretty quick on my feet, but we got that fixed within 3 minutes. So now we're good. We're good to go. All right, guys.
That's great.
So, again, I'm going to repeat now that we've got speaker, and that should give us very sufficient sound. How long ago was it that this actually happened? I know that you had a very good friend. For those who have not read the book is A State of Horror. And your good friend Paul, of 30 years, passed away and not only left you as executor of his estate, but also left you some very interesting objects that he collected. Can you tell us a little about what Paul did and how he came to collect all of these wonderful treasures that you got?
I'll be glad glad to inform the audience for them, Kat. My friend was an anthropologist. He was a writer and a teacher, and he was a world traveler as much as his parents were also. He was always going to Italy and to Greece and Turkey and to Germany, the European countries, and also South America. So he spent a great deal of time in Mexico, the Yucatan, and in South America proper, which would be like Guatemala would be in the Yucatan, but then Peru and Argentina and areas like that. So he collected things for every place that he went, and so did his mother and father. So there was quite a bit of things left at the house that I had no idea that were in boxes and crates until I actually had to go through his things, and as part of the process of clearing out his house for sale.
That must have. Did you know what you were getting into when you got in there? I mean, it had been a little bit of time, had it not, since you had been in the house.
Yes, it was several years that he wasn't inviting me for lunch or having maybe dinner at his house. So instead, he was coming to my house at different times and having lunch or dinner. So I knew it seemed a little strange that he was getting very eccentric about not letting people
come in
the home, and it was a little bit concerning for me, but I was respecting his privacy, and so he would come to my place. We would have lunch and talk about things. He would bring me things from his travels, which was, he was always bringing me presents from around the world, and I had my own. Given me, but I had no idea at the time of his death the amount of souvenirs and other artifacts that he collected. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, now, Anita, I'm finding this really interesting, so I'm going to stop you here to ask you. When you've done interviews and you've done things like this in the past, have there been very interesting audio and visual challenges? Because while you guys were talking, my JBL speaker unpaired from my computer again, and I had to go in and manually re-put that in, and we were having some interesting electrical issues right before the show got started tonight. Has this happened to you guys before?
Yes. This has been going on now for I was on a program last May 2014, and we have a whole series in a transcript of EVPs that came through the broadcast.
It did it again. Hold on 1 second, Anita. Hold on. Nope, cannot hear you. Okay, just hang tight. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh my God, it did it again.
And they're cutting us off. That's been happening recently.
Wasn't the first time.
They're cutting you. They are literally, okay, this time it didn't just pair my speaker, it completely cut you off.
And this is not an unusual thing, because when Heather and I were fighting some of my own demons, it never failed. Every time we would start to work into the light, it was gone.
It would cut it off.
I wonder if we
stop.
try switching with our thing, if it'll matter at all, to go to the world camera instead of the computer camera.
No, it's completely, it's my end. It is my end, and
my special equipment.
My JBL speaker never unpairs.
She's picking this up.
And you know what? I could feel that. Of course, Anita, you and I have spoken. You know that I'm a psychic medium and an empath, and I was empathing the negative one's energy, which we're not going to actually say the name. But I had a feeling that some of this was going to happen before we got started. So, I will give the entities that are battling in your home, I acknowledge that you are there, and we only wish to tell your story and really choose to surround Chris and Anita with love and light, and just we want to honor this artifact, this thing, and things that have come into the home. So I'm going to ask that whatever energy or entity that's interfering just to please let us communicate. And I also want to put a level of protection in the name of God and Jesus and surround us with white light. Amen.
Amen. We acknowledge that. Amen. We acknowledge that too.
Okay. Now,
Yes.
of course, they decided to take my speaker away again, but we can still hear you because the mic is working just fine. So
Okay, you're breaking up just a little bit over here, but we can hear you pretty good though.
okay, all right, good. We can definitely hear you. So this actually occurred in 2009. Is that right?
That's right, Kat. Yes.
Okay, so that's when he passed away, and I recall that you had said before that he was in the best physical shape of his life. Like this really.
That's right. Yeah.
Where was he when he passed?
He had been in his home, and what I found out from a neighbor that he spoke with the night that he called a paramedical team to the house, she said he told her he wasn't feeling that well, right. And he had an asthma problem on and off through the years, which I think was accelerated by his trips down South America. Right. I think he might have picked up something through his travels and being, doing his archaeological work in the Yucatan, and sure. But he tried to, be as robust as possible, was taking very good care of himself. But he did have the asthma problem, and he thought.
Hold on. Now they've cut you off completely. Your mic. Now I can't hear you. Can you guys try to adjust your mic? This is
normal.
Okay, yeah, they've cut your voice off. Now I'm coming through good. You can hear me, and now I can hear you again.
We did before.
Oh my gosh, this is,
and there's so much.
This is so classic. This is.
And I'm gonna when I want to ask a question, I'm gonna put my.
Can hear you now?
Yeah.
This is okay. Yeah,
I like that since there's so much.
Is it like
that? I can with.
How's that? A little bit better.
Perfect.
Yeah, now I can hear you. Mid sentence, the audio went, and what I'm doing on my end is I'm just rebooting. I just keep going back to, to my settings and changing it. So we'll continue and hope that they let this get out, because I think that the questions that we're asking are pretty interesting. Kelly had a question for you. You can still hear us. So Kelly, yes. What was your question?
I just wanted to ask you if, you said he had been reclusive and wouldn't let you come to the home or didn't ask you that often. Do you think in retrospect that he knew something was going on that was not normal in his house?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, they're interfering.
We lost sound.
No. Anita, it's your sound again.
Picture now.
Okay, can hear you now. We can hear you now.
Okay. We didn't hear any of the answer to that question.
Yeah.
Okay.
And now the camera, by the way, your camera gave us total focus.
Yes. Yeah, we can see better on the screen.
But we put the HD camera on so it's a little bit better.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Okay.
I was mentioning, he never spoke of anything that would have been maybe paranormal, but when his mom passed away in 2001, he had talked to me on the phone and said he thought she was leaving messages or letting her being present in the house was trying to maybe communicate with him. And I wasn't really that surprised because his mother was very close to him and he had taken care of her in her last days that she was very ill. And, you know, all I said to him was, well, if she is making appearances or making... Maybe she just wants to thank you for taking such great care of her, because, you know, she knows how to...
Right.
You know, to be, you know, he was very devoted to her, you know.
A little bit of a delay.
Yeah, yeah.
So once you got the news and you went to the home, when you approached the home and opened the door, did you feel anything at that point?
No, it was just surprise at how far gone the house had been let go. It was so much debris and boxes and hoarding situation that we were walking single file through the kitchen to go into the living room. And he had a lot of stuff, but it was just piled everywhere. And I just couldn't even like make an idea of like, what is this stuff? You know, it was just so much to be thrown at you at one time. I had...
Your noise. We can't hear you. Just hit refresh on your end. We can't hear you. You can hear us? Okay, it's your end again. This is pretty interesting. There you go. I can hear you again now. And guys, look, for y'all viewing, we have never, and I give up on my end with fighting with the speaker. I've got a high-tech mic here, so it's going to pick you up. It's enjoying this little battle that we're having with the audio in getting this information out, because now they've stopped on my end and started with your end. Okay, Chris, what did you feel when you walked in the house, or just initially, like your first feelings?
I was just shocked at the amount of stuff we were going to have to go and clean up. There was just so much stuff everywhere. There wasn't really any kind of a bad feeling to start off the bat, but there was just an overwhelming sense of not like fear, but dread to clean up everything that was in this house, because it was like, you know, a hoarder's paradise. So you know, it was just a lot of stuff that we were going to have to go through, and we didn't even know where to begin.
Didn't even know where to start. Kelly, did you have a question for Chris?
Oh, no, I was just, that's what I was going to ask. I know he's got limited time, and I wanted to find out how he felt going in and what he sensed.
And so, Chris, you're thinking, oh, wow, I offered to help, and boy, look what I got myself into. I think y'all had a couple of boxes with you, right? And
yeah, it was...
Well, he was picking up some feelings of upset stomach. Times that we were driving towards my friend's house, he would tell me about a block away that he'd start feeling uneasy in his stomach.
So you start getting like a headache or a sense of nausea or something getting towards the house. Maybe it was just a feeling of, oh, got another day here of what we got to do. Mm-hmm. Because, I mean, the initial stuff didn't happen right away. So we just had a lot of stuff that we had to go through. And that to start off was enough, and then what happened later, I mean, obviously, you know, it's a whole different ball game. But yeah, maybe you would just pick up on different things, kind of going there, and then you know, as the activity escalated, you would you know, have more and more things happen.
Well, Chris is the only one
Nope. Refresh your sound. You know what we're gonna go with? Yeah, I can't hear you. And we'll just give it a second. And
you know what he's talking about is the solar plexus, what you taught me.
Pit. Now, hopefully your audio is going to come back from your end.
Yeah.
This is hilarious. Guys, I can hear you now. And the funny thing is,
every time you talk, they cut you off.
Every time, Chris, we're going to talk to Chris. Yeah, and you know,
it's your hour, you talk.
Yeah, they're in Chris. I mean, they're not only doing your end. As soon as you cut off and I can't hear you, my speaker goes at the exact exact same time.
That is crazy.
But there again, you guys know it's not crazy because it's very normal.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even know why they call it paranormal anymore because it's so damn normal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's normal for us anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, what was the first paranormal experience you had, Chris, when in the house? Because you also seem like you're a bit of an empath yourself.
When you mentioned going in and feeling that sick stomach going towards the house, Heather taught me that's your solar plexus, and that's where you feel negative things. So as you were getting closer to that house and feeling that's probably what you were feeling. That's what empaths.
The first initial thing that I had happened when I was bringing some trash out to the one of the many trash bags that we had to bring up from the basement, that we had started to clear out certain areas of the house. So not thinking that anything was going to be strange, but just normal day bringing out trash. And I'm coming back in to grab a couple more bags of trash before we had lunch. And my mom's down in the basement. I'm up in the kitchen, at the top of the basement door. And I called down to her. I said, do you have any more bags that have to come up from down there? And she said, are you hungry? And I just kind of was like, huh? What thought about it? Like, I could eat. It's getting near lunchtime. She's like, because I heard this loud kind of growl, stomach growl. She's like, is that your stomach growling? And I'm like, not from all the way out from outside on the curb. Unless you hear me from all the way outside. She's like, I told her I wasn't even in the house at that point. She's like, oh.
Are you kidding me?
So that was the first kind of thing. I was like, well, I didn't hear anything. And she said that it came from upstairs. So
you weren't really sure where it was.
As soon as she said it, I heard it from down where she was, kind of like a brrr, a vibration. I'm like, what was that? And then my mom was like, that's what I heard.
So
how about you come on up from down there for
a second, let's go leave the house and get something. Now,
that's not a good sign. Growling is never.
But at this point, are you starting to sense it's paranormal, or that we're just kind of
have any kind of clue? We just laughed it off. Maybe thought it was the house settling or something.
Oh, they
creak
and they move.
Think twice about it, and then after that, it was kind of like little things here and there.
How about when the things got thrown in his bedroom? That was one of the.
Oh yeah, the biggest thing, Chris. What that happened?
Yeah, when we were cleaning out in her friend's bedroom, and then we had stacked some things in his room. Went into the next room, which was his mom's room, and we're cleaning out stuff. And then all these boxes came. The Rubbermaid containers just came spilling onto the ground with a loud crash. Yeah. And it was like you had to push it from the wall because they were all stacked up against the wall. So either someone had to pull them away from the wall or push them from behind, which then you'd have to be physically in the wall to push them from behind. It was just a loud crash and all the contents spilled out. We just spilled out all onto the floor. And we're coming screaming. We're like, what happened? What happened? And we had to, we had to go clean up that mess. I mean, that was one of the things that kind of kicked it all off. That we're like, okay, maybe there is something a little bit strange.
Something is going on.
And I actually just said, I called out to my friend and I said, look, if it's you, I'm sorry, we're in your room invading your space, but we have to clean out the house because the house has to be sold like it said in your will. And I just said, maybe you don't know you died because he died so suddenly.
Right.
But we didn't know, we're talking to the air. He and I said, people are going to put us in the,
the loony bin, the padded room. That's so true. And Chris, I don't know. Do you guys talk with your regular friends or people about this? I mean, okay, partly people probably know you now from the episode, but is this something?
At the beginning, we didn't really talk about too much about it. We kind of kept we thought people might think we're a little off, so we were kind of cautious to see who we wanted to tell. But I mean, everybody kind of know about now between our book and us being on the show.
Now everyone knows. And Chris, did you find that the entity was more trying to get your attention or your mom's attention?
I don't really know because there were things that happened to her, and then it was the same kind of stuff that happened to me. But I mean, it looked like they were trying to tell her different messages, and then they were also they were just trying to distract me. I think they were more kind of being mischievous and playful with me, and with her was just trying to maybe get a message across instead, because when she would ask a question, they would almost answer her immediately. And then when stuff would happen to me, it would be like physical attack of either getting thrown down or scratched or something like that.
Wait.
Or something heavy getting thrown at my head.
Did you say throw down and scratched?
Yeah.
I was physically like pushed from behind over this little green was a hassock.
Yeah.
Was like an ottoman little stool. So I was tossed over that like face first into the carpet, and wind completely knocked out of me.
Oh.
That was. Then after that, we were really kind of scared.
So your fear.
The first police thought was
because she actually got thrown outside.
Yeah.
Before I even got thrown inside the house.
That happened about a month. It was in the summer. We were outside. It was a garden house, and as I'm coming out of the structure, he and my friend were outside already collecting boxes, and all of a sudden I felt something from the small of my back just pushed me. I had no control, and it happened so fast. I just tumbled over boxes, and I had bruises on my left leg and thigh for about 2 weeks. It was all black and blue because the boxes actually stopped me from smacking to the ground, but I tumbled over these boxes.
I didn't get that luxury of having something break my fall. My hand broke my fall.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if I broke my wrist or smashed my face.
It was pretty. It was
my
pretty,
glasses, but
it happened.
It hurt a little bit.
Now, did you get scratched at that same time that you were pushed, Chris?
No, there were different times where I got scratches on my arms and ankle.
How many scratches would appear?
There was like usually just a general scratch or it would be two. It wasn't anything like where it was like a whole thing. It would just be like a scratch here and there. And I wasn't really thinking anything of it in the beginning. Like thinking maybe that I had moved a box and maybe I scratched my arm or something. But when they were appearing more and more frequently, then we realized that I wasn't doing it to myself by accident.
So at this point, when this happens, is that the point where you decide to call a paranormal team?
Yeah, it was right after I had gotten thrown to the ground.
And
decided to see if we could have an investigation.
That's very. I imagine, Chris, you had to have a very big sense of protection towards your mom, seeing your mom go through this.
I didn't want her to go into the house by herself. I always wanted to go. Like if she was going, I wanted to make sure that I was going with her because I just didn't know. You didn't know from one day to the next what was going to happen. Like every day was an adventure over there of trying to get stuff done and. It's like, okay, what's going to happen today? What's going to happen tomorrow?
What's going to happen today?
It would be different every day.
He had an incident where all he did was move this portrait of my friend in the bedroom, and the next thing you know, the portrait's moving. It's coming down on the bed. It just flops over.
Whoa.
It startles Chris. He runs out and said, "You know what? I got to take 5. I'm going." And as he's walking through the living room, and then he starts running through the kitchen. This green box, a plastic box that had pens, pencils, and
just like a green
stationary stuff. It just literally flew off the table and hit him in the face. And there was like 50 objects threw at him all over the floor. You could hear this big noise, and he says, "Oh my God!" And he batted it down. And
I said a lot more than that, but a lot of explicit things.
We
weren't too.
We kind of just
censored.
The house was kind of like we just had to say what we had to say because we knew it was intentionally trying to go after us, and we were trying to be cautious about who actually knew what was going on because the house had to get sold. We didn't know what had to be disclosed. If this was going on.
Sure.
The lawyer backed us up and say, no, it's not a historical haunted house. This is just your personal thing.
experience.
So, we'll work along with you. But, the lawyer and his assistant knew that we were having some real problems. And we just broached it with them. They say, we're getting some really strange things happening at the house. We didn't know what to tell them. Like, things flying around the room.
How do you even approach to tell someone, like, hey, glove got thrown at me today, and it wasn't either of us doing it. How do you get it? Like what was it? A bolt, a metal bolt,
right?
Your head, and that's the metal cabinet on the side. And if I hadn't ducked, it would have probably hit me right in the face.
My favorite thing is he goes into the refrigerator for a bottle of water and a summer sausage, a little thing hits him in the head from the refrigerator.
Because I had said something about open the refrigerator. I was like, look at all this crap in here. How bad this the thing right in
Bam!
Kind of like, well, if you don't like it, here, take this.
Here, take this.
They would retaliate with everything.
Well,
they would listen to what you were saying.
Oh my gosh.
Was horrible.
There was funny stuff going on over there. That's why we were laughing at the beginning, thinking,
right,
well,
this is, and maybe it's Paul too. You must have at the early times thought maybe it was Paul.
Yes.
Being playful.
There was definite things that were being shown to me or thrown near me that it was telling me it's him, because only I would know certain object or the meaning behind what he got thrown, and because we had such a close friendship.
So you were able to delineate, because clearly my feeling is that Paul was there at that point along with this, and he was trying to protect you.
Yes.
And do you think that he was trying to push you towards that one object? For people who haven't read the book or seen the show, he talked through a medium that it spoke through that particular medium, that style of mediumship, and
That's
said,
right.
Anita, there's something here you need to find.
That's
and
right.
tell the audience what he said that item was, and the special properties of that item, and why it would be a challenge to find.
Well, when we were listening to what was being presented through the medium, first we knew it was my friend because of voice inflection, the way he said things, because he had a very educated background and had like a German background, and some of the words that he used had very European kind of a placement in the way he said things. So I knew it was him. And when he mentioned this artifact, we had just said, well, there were so many things. What did we have to find? And he said, well, I brought this back from Peru, and he said I should have taken care of it before I passed away, but I didn't know I was going to die this quickly. Of course, it was sudden. And he kept mentioning that if we did find this thing, which happened to be a shapeshifter, he said you're not going to be able to find this very easily. It changes colors, it changes shapes, it has such an energy. He said I had been studying it, but he didn't like to keep it in one room for very long. He moved it around the house, and I thought that was pretty significant, because it was giving off energy that perhaps it was making him sick. Because the medium said to us after he came out of the trance and he was remembering what had been said, he said, I have no doubt that this thing could have accelerated your friend's illness and maybe caused his death, and that's something that we are not really sure of, because of the suddenness of his death,
I can tell you, okay, now this is really weird for me, and you're gonna if you see me start closing my eyes like this, and Anita, you know this about me going into this.
Yes.
Being a medium, it's affecting my breathing right now. I can tell you, you know what? It wants this information to be said, so I'm just going to say this. All right.
Okay.
This object, there were, and I don't know because it wasn't on the show. This object, he knew that it had special properties, and it kind of he became reclusive because of that energy. Have you been told that before?
Oh,
well, we thought that this might have contributed to the way he acted.
The way he acted, because it wasn't like him before. And I have to, when I'm doing this, I kind of have to keep my eyes closed or I lose my center. He he wasn't like that before. That not wanting you to come to the house and stuff. That wasn't normal. In here's the other thing I'm getting, and I don't know if you've corroborated this with other psychics or mediums, but he became almost addicted to studying it. Like it was it became compulsion almost. And I think his fascination, and trust me, I get his fascination because I collect religious artifacts and haunted objects, as you guys know. Chris, you may not know that, but you know, I told your mom. This sort of collecting, it can become addictive. In this object, it continues to hide from you guys, doesn't it?
Yes, yes.
You've not been able to find it.
We still can't locate it.
We have been told almost in a really hateful, mocking way, you think you're going to try to find us and you're not going to find it because of what's here at our house, protecting that, and they won't let us find it.
And in this, the second hour, you and I are going to discuss that, Anita.
Yes.
Chris, did you ever have any trouble respiratory-wise, breathing when you were in that house? Did you ever have attacks of what I just felt?
Yeah, it was to the point to where we had to go and get dust masks because it was the just the dust and just the smell of the house. The black mold that was in the basement was I thought was very kind of unhealthy. So we just were kind of protecting ourselves. And there was a couple incidents to where I got sick down in the basement. I had to go upstairs. So.
Oh yeah, he just.
It was just the overall smell. It was horrible.
Overcome him so bad, and then the cobwebs. He felt like they were kind of enveloping him.
You felt like, Chris? Did you feel like, oh God, they're all over me?
Yeah. Yes.
All around my legs, all around my arms.
That's.
Oh God, that's this thing, this entity. It is a very demonic entity.
Yeah, and that demonic smell is unmistakable. It's like nothing you've ever. I did want to ask one question to Chris. I watched the show and the series, and it depicted that voice that was the demonic voice that spoke directly to you all while the medium was there. Was it that loud and booming? Did they depict that correctly? I mean, was it that, or was it more of a feeling, or did you actually hear the demonic voice say like your holy water is no good here? That's no good here.
That was Lori who was able to hear that. I wasn't present with that, but when
Lori
was by herself in the basement.
Yeah, well, when she had walked in, she had gotten a really bad feeling, but then when they were in the basement, and this thing really came to her menacing and saying, you brought holy water, it's not going to do you any good. We're older than that. We're older than Christianity, that we don't even acknowledge the holy water that you brought. and she knew that it was something really very, very sinister. And picking up on sort of an interdimensional creature.
It's an interdimensional creature.
Something that's so bad in our.
Oh my God!
It predates probably time and space at this point. I don't even know what you would call it, but apparently love is part of this object. It's working on like the Energizer Bunny downstairs, so who knows what what it's doing really.
Well, Bill Bean has said that the ground that the house is on is probably cursed or is very, very active, and he said you're in a perfect storm. Both he and Laurie, our psychic medium friend, said they independently both said the same thing. Bringing objects into your home, you're on the property of an 1800s farmhouse, which normally you weren't really being bothered, but it woke up dormant spirits that had been left alone here. And there's a lot of living and dying that Bill Bean had come here and said how much was going on the property. And he said, then you brought all these trespassers
into the property
from his house, and you've got a war going on for dominance. Like one wants to take over from the other about who they want to control in the house.
Now, Chris, do you live? How far do you live from your mom, and do you worry about her? now.
I'm not that far away, but I mean,
he's like 3 blocks away.
Yeah, I'm only just down the street, but I mean, I try to come over. I mean, I told her if something like happened, she could come over, or I would come over here and spend the night or something. Or I do worry about her, but I have stuff going on in my house too. So I mean, it's kind of like they just have
it follows you. Bill Bean, he's a deliverance minister, if I'm correct, right?
Yeah.
And his work is pretty renowned. Tell Chris, what did you see and feel when Bill came in and did what he did? What was your feeling?
Well, when Bill Bean came over to the house, we kind of felt like we had finally got maybe some kind of overall, maybe we're going to come to some kind of conclusion or answer that it was just, that he brought the spirit kind of all over goodness with him to when he entered our house to try and clear what he could. So
he was real.
He believed in us and what we were doing. So I mean, we just thought we're like finally somebody's going to take the time, and he was here all day. He meticulously went through every room, blessed everything you could imagine. So he even went outside. He did the garage and the ground and everything. So I mean, he really took his time to go over everything. And after he was here, it seemed like there was this overall sense of calm at the house.
You felt some new peace.
Yeah,
a little.
He had made peace, or
put a Band-Aid.
The spirits go maybe dormant again. Whatever the case may be.
What
and then
a
he also had to
blessing.
come over to my house and do the same thing. So.
Wow. Kelly, you had a question for Chris.
Yes, I know that when I was going through, first of all, I wanted to say it's really a good thing if this was going to happen, that you two were in it together, because it's like you can say, well, I know maybe I'm going crazy, but if we're doing it at the same time.
We're not both experiencing the same delusion.
Well, I'm crazy, you're just as nuts. So.
Well, I know in my
that would be us.
Yeah, exactly. In my situation, I had dreams, and sometimes still do have levitating dreams. I battled a demon since I was very, very young.
Yeah, and I want to interject what one of the reasons that I wanted Kelly here, Anita, which we didn't talk about, and Chris, Kelly battled a demonic force in her life since she was a child. So that's why, okay, now go ahead and ask your question.
Well, I just wanted, through that experience, as horrible and horrific as it was, sometimes I still, to me, I still have nightmares, and to you and to everyone around me. But I have grown, and my whole vision on spirituality has changed. Like, I went through a period in my younger years where I didn't really think that there was a devil. There was only heaven. And I didn't, so coming out of this, my faith and my my connection with God is closer than it's ever been. I mean, I can't even tell you. But I just wondered if your spirituality has changed because of this, if it's changed you in any way. And that's for both of you, that question.
I think it definitely has. There's been some stuff that's been definitely confirmed on both sides of the spectrum, whether it be good or bad. So it definitely changes you as a person, whether it's religiously, spiritual, whatever you want to call it. You definitely come out a different person with living through what we went through. Yeah. And just from 5 years ago, what we're at now is now like six years. So it's just. It's something I don't wish on my worst enemy, but I mean, it's kind of a blessing and a curse at the same time that we went through it. Like, because now we can see through everybody has talked about almost the same thing with different television
and you
shows.
Can help people.
People aren't liars, with the stuff.
Yes, Kelly said that to me earlier before we went on air, and I know that this is the case because of the demon that followed her entire life until it was exorcised, which is a completely different show. The ripple effect, the way that it doesn't want me to say this, Okay, this is.
It never wants you to say anything.
It never wants me to say anything. Okay, you know what? I completely. Wow. It is having such a physical effect on me right now. I don't know if you guys can see it in my.
Yeah, you look like you're having a little problem over there.
Yeah. yes, I am, Chris.
Okay, does it? We were talking about helping each other.
Thank you, Kelly. Helping each other. You guys
Have the ability
to whatever you know
reach
what I'm trying
out
to reach
to
out
other people
to help other people through what you went through. Thank you.
Yeah, and for instance, fear.
It's real. Kelly was saying to me, you know, like if I hadn't seen it with my own two eyes before I saw it the night with Kelly, I would have, and I was a paranormal investigator. I was a psychic medium, but still, until you see it, feel it, touch it, see evil, you really, maybe people see these things and think, yeah, right, yeah. It's absolutely true. And I think that you guys coming forward, doing shows, writing this book, I think that you were almost chosen to do this. Do you guys feel that too?
Yeah, well, we were never closed-minded, though, about what was going on. I mean, we always have an open mind to see what people, what's going on. So, I mean, like, when it happened to us, I mean, we weren't really kind of, like, I don't know what the word for it is. We weren't really, like totally, like, off-the-wall scared, but I mean, we kind of took it for what it was and just tried to,
But we had members in our own family who didn't believe us.
That was hard.
And that was...
Oh, really?
And very... It was very, very hurtful because we are not the type of people to make up stories. And that's never been our MO. I mean, I've been a very realistic person. We're in the arts, so we do have a creative imagination.
Eccentricities. Artist is an artist myself, and Kelly is an artist, and you is an artist. And you, Chris, you paint these beautiful... just real quick, tell me what you do. Real quick.
I own a hobby store over a local hobby store, right? That's not too far from us over in Springfield, Pennsylvania. Over here. It's,
Springfield. What's it called? What is it?
It's called Enter the Realm. It's our local hobby shop that I started, and I have on display several of my miniature models of medieval dragons, knights, fantastic creatures, whatever you want to call them, all kinds of different models.
Oh, yes,
miniature models, they're all on display in cases all around the store, so people can see what the final creation looks like from box to tabletop. And it's a game that you play.
So it's sort of like getting kids off a computer and getting them back to playing, like we did. All right, okay, I'm a little bit older than you are probably, but it allows them to enter this realm of going back to using the imagination, and that's so out of this something positive came.
Yeah, I mean that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make it to where it's something positive for the community, where kids can come in, they can
make
play.
The models, they have all the painting supplies.
We have an open area where people can come in any day of the week. They can work on their stuff. They can get a game in. They can do whatever they want.
We have custom-made terrain tables with castles and trees and mountains on that you can move around, and it's so much fun to see these miniature things, and people paint their armies, and it's almost like Dungeons and Dragons, but doing on a bigger scale, but using chess as a strategy of moving your models to capture the queen or.
You don't actually fight with this stuff. You just wreck your pieces, but it's all with based on dice rolling.
Yeah, it's all measurements like on the table, but it is something else. When these guys get together and the young junior high school kids, I mean, 3 generations will be a father and his son and then a grandson. That they have the people playing, and it's really nice. We're just trying to really make it a place where people can come and exchange art ideas and bring their projects, and we can show them if they're having a problem putting models together. We'll help them out. Chris has some of his artwork displayed, my artwork, my
wow.
dad's artwork.
It might be another show.
It's just really nice.
I think that would be a really interesting other show too, by the way.
Yeah.
I do think that there's beauty and safety in creating something loving.
Yes.
And
yes.
You know what I'm saying? In co-creating what you're doing, you're telling this entity, you're not going to take over my life.
And I'm
you're
not afraid.
I'm not afraid of you.
Oh no.
We're
that's,
gonna win.
That's the number one.
She's told it off quite a bit, so she told it where to go.
Why ignore that? I mean, I come from really strong, from really strong women in my family. My grandmother, my mom.
I can tell that.
Good for
they
you.
Never took anything. They just were very strong, and they used to be really kind of the person that even the men would go to, because they were the center of the home, between doing finances and working in business, and yet taking care of their families and being homemakers and being wonderful cooks, and also role models for their daughters. You know, I mean, my mom was 91 when she passed, and she was a force of nature. She was an unbelievable person who, the most energy that you ever imagine. And she and my dad were married for 65 years, and they had gone through the World War II together, and my dad was in the service, and they married after. But I come from really, really strong family values, strong. And when these things want to invade my life, they don't belong here. So they're the ones who are going to leave. They're not forcing me out of my house. They're not.
I love it. I love it.
You hit the road. You guys.
That's the number.
You don't belong here.
That is the number one thing I had to learn, and that was, I grew up. My grandpa was a Southern Baptist preacher, and I had a lot of fear of the unknown, and the number one thing that I had to learn was not to be afraid. That takes its power. When you are not afraid and you take your control back, that was huge for me. I mean, that just changed my whole world. And I have a question. It's from Barry Richardson, who is our cameraman and
lead
investigator for Paranormal. He and Tiffany Griffin, my daughter, have a question for y'all. They wanted to know if you ever found the object. I think I know the answer to this question, but I'll let you answer them.
It's in a process where we have energy surges in the basement, but we think that we're zeroing in on something, and it turns out to be not what it is. Because I'll tell you, we have a sort of person who's been engaging this for us by Laurie Hall. Excuse me.
I was gonna say, speak of the devil, but
don't say that.
Yeah, don't say that.
Pretty much
Continue,
the long and
Chris.
short of it is, the object doesn't want to be found. We don't know at this point if we're ever going to be able to locate the object, because it just keeps changing shape and color or texture or whatever it's doing.
So it's like a treasure hunt all the time, isn't it, Chris?
Yeah, it's kind of like a treasure hunt all over again, kind of like it was over at Friends, trying to locate all these items that were on the will and all. So, it's like something that's happened all over again that we have to go locate, and it's buried itself, somewhere in the basement. Who knows where it's at this point? I mean, we probably have to tear the basement completely apart, and who knows at that point if you'd be able to find it anyway.
It doesn't want to be found. Chris, I would love, I know that you've got to go here in a second, but would you be willing to come back and do a one-on-one with me? Because I would really like to delve into your personal experience and then what you do now and how it affects you in
healing.
Your healing and protection of your mom. And there's so much more I'd like to talk to you about. So, Anita, I was asking Chris if at some point you would come back, and I'd love to have a sit down with you, Chris. And
sure.
Because there are so many things I still want to ask you, Chris. And I would love that if you would do that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll come back on, and we'll have it. Talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. With what's going on with because, like I say, there's stuff going over my place too. That's what I want to.
There's so
many layers to the story that it just keeps going on and on. So, like, I was actually kidding my mom. I was saying maybe the third book will be what's going on over at my house that I'll be writing, and she'll kind of like elaborate.
I think so. Well. I think so, Chris. I mean, you know what? This thing is. I think one of my friends said it's older. In fact, the actual word she said is that it's older than Jesus and the devil. That's pretty old. That's what we've come across where he say like I said, it's older than time and space. So interdimensional. That interdimensional demonic entities. Yeah, good luck finding it, sort of thing. So yeah, Chris, I want to talk to you. I know it's 3:00. You're in. And Anita, of course, I'm snagging you for the next hour because I
would have been here along with her, but I had a prior engagement. So.
That was his wife was just coming back. They have to meet to go out this evening because they haven't had much chance to be
date night.
Yeah.
Yay. Yeah. Do you have kids, Chris? Do you guys have kids?
Not yet, no.
Okay. Well, I was that would have. I'd be curious. You know, I have kids, and in the way that the things and collections that I have, and how they affect them is kind of interesting. But I can't wait to talk to you again about what's going on at your house. So I appreciate you coming in and doing this with us. And
yeah, just let my mom know, what time and date, and then
we'll work around your schedule. We'll work around your schedule, Chris.
Yeah.
So the very next.
Do something from the store.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, that's what I.
That because
you can see a lot of the miniatures and stuff that are around the store.
And that will focus and let this entity know that, hey, you're not winning. And I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, and I'm not going to play patty cake and hide and seek. I have to go out and live my life and create beautiful things.
Yeah,
and
that's really what a lot of people didn't understand. Like when we were even cleaning out my friend's house, like why didn't you just leave and just leave it to whatever? But they did not know the responsibility that I had to the agent and then also the lawyer, because we didn't want anybody else getting hurt in the house. We had a responsibility of I don't know what's going on here, but we certainly don't want to.
You can't pass that along, and that's very responsible of you, because you know what? Trust me, as a curator of my own odd things and people who want them, there are things in my possession that I came across that I would never put into somebody else's hands. Because it would be irresponsible and wrong, and I know also that Paul agrees with this, because he actually said something to you about when you did, if you found that object, what to do with it. Now, do we need to break at this point? What time? How do y'all look on time, Chris?
I'm gonna have to probably head on there a couple minutes.
Okay. Chris, why don't you say then what, we saw it in the show, so I know what Paul said during this medium's, what was the wording about what you would have to do once you found that object?
Yeah. Then we're going to have to put it in, there was a lead-lined glass box or something, and bury it in the ground. It was something along those lines. That it was like, I guess, radiating some kind of mercury, some kind of lead poisoning. What? I don't know. They said you got to basically put it in this lead-lined container or box and make sure that it. He actually said that it had to be returned to the place of origin that was in South America. And I'm like, that. South America is like 2 inches big.
Yes,
what am I going to do?
Where in the world did you get this in Peru that you would want us to take it back? And because the farmer who sold it to him, they were just probably
he didn't want it. That farmer did not want that object. And you know the story of the Dybbuk box. Kevin. Yeah. Okay, very similar. When they got rid of that box, and he tried to, not Kevin, but the guy who originally bought it, he tried to bring it back, and that girl said, no dice. It's yours. You guys are the curators now of this possession, and what you do with it and how you keep protecting yourself. And Chris, I really think that your energy and your abilities, your empathic nature, because you do have a very strong one coming from somebody who does what I do, and you exude goodness and protection. And I think that you guys are going to win this battle, but it's going to be, we're going to talk about what's happened now in your home, Anita, when Chris goes, but
it's gonna be a long knockout, drag out fight, I'm sure.
But you guys are, has Bill Bean said that, is there something as kind of the male in the family that's, protective of your mom and stuff that you do? Do you guys pray together there if need be? Do you, what do you protect yourself with, Chris?
Oh, I mean, over my house, I say, certain prayers. I mean, when we're over here, when we're together, we just make sure that, that whatever's around us isn't going to influence us in any negative ways.
Well,
she has her own things that she does when I'm not home.
Well, when my parents passed away, they each had a beautiful cross that was on their caskets, and each one of us Chris has my dad's, and I have my mom's, and they are been blessed by the priest. So those crucifixes, and then I have a set of rosaries that are blessed by the Pope that my mom traveled to Rome. And also we keep their pictures and active, where we know that they are a really guiding force of goodness, because we've lost my parents, we've lost a dear cousin who was only 64, and I just lost a good friend at 55 years old and besides Paul was 55. I've lost about 5-6 people that really died before their time, and it's all of them are, I think, kind of protecting me and protecting us, because they know what we went through, and they were 100% behind us.
And they also know that what you're going through, you need a high level of protection, because we're talking about something that's older than Jesus, older than the devil, could be interdimensional evil. That requires love in your guardian angels and your family that have crossed to surround and protect you.
Every light you can muster, the power of God.
The power of God enfolds you and protects you. And they are always around. And Chris, has your wife experienced anything at all? Yeah. Oh, okay. See, first chance.
She's heard things.
The first chance that you get in your schedule, let's go to your store and then let's discuss that, because I'm getting some messages and some things for you that are coming through to me that I think are going to help you, and then others for Anita, which I'm going to talk to her about here.
Okay.
That'd be great.
Okay.
Yeah, let's set up a time.
Okay.
Yeah, later in the month here, or whatever. But hopefully before the month's up, we can do something next week or two.
Okay.
Because all he has to do is bring in his
bring in my laptop here to the store
with the different camera, and we've got all the Wi-Fi. We're all set up at the store with the latest with Comcast, and use any of the equipment there.
Okay, great.
And I have grandsons, so I really want to see this. I really want to be a part of this.
Yeah. So sorry that I cut my time. I'm sure we'll get with everybody today. But,
thank you for being here.
Nice to meet you, Chris.
We'll definitely do it again. We'll pick up and we'll do it more. We can do a couple hours.
Yes, and we get to see the store, and
sounds great.
We can really, great. Well, have fun on your date.
Yeah, thanks. I will talk to you guys. Hopefully, not too far apart from now. So
a week or two, and we'll see you back, and I look forward to it. Thank you.
Yeah, like I said, just let my mom know. What works for you guys, and hopefully our schedules meet up. So
okay.
But they can even connect.
Or you can even contact me
on Facebook.
Okay. Yes.
It's Chris Levis.
Yeah, Chris Levis on Facebook, and
Okay.
also my store is on Facebook for Enter the Realm, and then
Entering the
if
Realm.
anybody wants to check
Enter
out
the Realm.
just my gallery page of all the stuff that I do personally, and some other things are going to the store. It's Miniature Men is also the page on Facebook.
So
Enter the
on
Realm
Facebook,
and
Miniature Men, and then
No, Madness or Men?
Men.
it's Miniature Men on
Okay.
Facebook is the one page, which is the gallery page, and then my store page, which is
Entering.
Enter the Realm.
Enter the.
Yeah, it has a night
And
with
then
a
there's
sword.
also links so you can get in contact with me
Well,
directly.
You know, I think that sounds like, can people, just before you go, can people order things like me being in the state of Texas? If I wanted to order this for like my son and daughter or somebody else out there watching,
all you got to do is post on my Enter the Realm page
Right.
and let me know what you're looking for, and we'll get you set up.
and so people can just start with a couple figurines, or do you have to have like 10 and 10, like a chess game? What do you need to start?
It all depends on what game you're starting and what army you want to start or what crew. There's many different levels of figure collecting, whether
Okay.
because some games you could play with 6 models and some games you play with 600. So
Oh,
it's kind of on
fun.
it depends on what
Yeah,
kind of scale you want to play.
that sounds like fun. Okay, and we'll talk about all that when I talk to you, because
Oh yeah, he's
Sure.
He's
I got all
walking
that stuff.
encyclopedia.
Okay.
He has literally hundreds of thousands of models he's painted in 18 years, and his
wow.
models, like the work that he does, I just look at the work, and not because he's my son, but he's the most awesome
And hopefully get to
miniature
show some of
painter
the,
I've ever seen.
the newest stuff.
Yeah.
To show you the
The work that he does, figurines that he's got in cases, and
Wow.
amazing the hours behind doing this work. So
It's a lot of stuff. So, all
So,
right, well, I hope we'll
Okay.
see you guys soon.
Bye,
Bye.
Chris.
Thank
Bye.
you.
All right, then I'll talk to you later.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll take the seat.
Now you're in the hot seat, my friend. Your son is so great, and you are so blessed.
What a bond.
You must be so proud.
Yeah, it's just been he and I he's been growing up. I've been a single parent since he was 3, so
Since he was
but I had my
3.
parents helping me, raise him, and he's a good kid, so I can't ask for anything else. And he just loves doing this miniature model work, being an artist and designer, and it's in his blood. I mean, he's
Yeah,
so
he comes by
unbelievable
naturally.
with customers.
The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, Mom. You're an artist, and he's an artist, and that's I think that's one really important thing about this, is that you have taken something that in many ways has been sort of a negative, well, clearly, and you're not allowing that to. Was there a time, Anita, when you were at the house and this was going on, that you even thought of walking away?
Yeah, yes. I think especially when Chris was hurt, that was like in August of 2009, and after he had fallen, and I was so worried about if he had broken his arm, and I said,
Right.
what, how about if we call this quits? I'll talk to the lawyer. I said, nobody was asking us to get hurt. I mean,
No.
This is like our lives are in danger at this point, because we can't see these things coming after us.
You
Like, they're
can't
just
fight what you can't
attacking us.
see.
And that was, when you don't know when it's going to come, you're just so off balance. So, but then Chris is the one who said, Mom, you did all this work. The lawyer's going to wind up getting the glory and get the
Sure.
rest of the fee. He said, you're not even getting that much for doing all this, but
No.
it impacted my artwork. Like, I've spent 40 hours a week at his estate, so I couldn't get my work done at the same time. So I was, less and less that I was able to meet my
To do
obligations as a graphic artist and doing artwork. And then Chris had been on a lower schedule for what he was working as a audio tech person.
Right.
So it actually was good for us that we could have the estate just pay us, like a minimal amount that, for our troubles.
Sure.
That we were,
Troubles.
because it was so much time we put in. So,
Did
but yeah, there was times where it was so hot. I was smelly with my clothes. I said, there's so much more. Like, I said, I don't know how much more I can keep up with this. And then having my mom and dad both sick at the same time.
Wow.
My dad had Parkinson's. My mom had a heart attack. It was in and out constantly with the hospital with her. And I'm trying to do work at my friend's house, trying to get my work done. My son was dating, and then it looked like they might be getting married, down the line. And you're just trying to keep your head together. But I know it was my faith. I used to just pray to say, Lord, I know that this is something that I can handle, but I need your help. I've only so much that I can really do and not freak out, and have a nervous breakdown every year. So it was
right.
Yeah.
I don't have time to have it. I always say, my mom used to say, I really need to have a nervous breakdown, but I don't have time.
Right.
Exactly. I didn't have time for that.
I don't have time for that.
I mean, it was, I just could not give in. I couldn't have the luxury of saying, I'm just going to crawl under these covers.
And break down.
I'm done with it.
Yeah.
No, I've never been like that. I never shirked from responsibility. And I had made the promise to Paul that I would take care of everything. And I know that that's why he left me in charge. He knew I could handle it and I could do what I needed to do. So, going through hundreds of boxes, thousands of papers and artifacts, and never knowing what you were going to find. And then to make sure there was 43 items in a 7-page will, and I had to make sure everybody got those items too. So I was conscientious to a fault. But everybody got their things. The lawyer told me, he said, I don't know how you did it in less than a year. And I said, well, I don't want to be at this house more than I have to be. I've got to move on with my life. There's a lot of stuff going here. I don't want to be in this house anymore than we have to be, But yeah, I look back on it. We often talk, Chris and I. We don't know how we did it. We just look back. Oh my gosh, day in and day out, the amount of stuff. Let's take this pile. Let's take this closet tonight.
You take just one corner at a time.
Are you in touch with the people that live? It's been sold. Has the house been sold?
Yeah, the house is sold and has actually changed hands 3 times. And
imagine that.
So we don't really know if there's a reason behind that.
Yeah, you do.
Have you been in touch with any of them? Have they shared any stories or?
Well, only the neighbor who lives in the back of the house, and she had been good friends with Paul. She always writes to me at Christmas and at Easter, and she'll call me. And I asked her, I said, how's it going? And she said, well, there's a very nice couple. It took 3 different groups of people. She said the first young couple actually were transferred from Michigan, and then they had to be transferred back. So they were only going to be there for 2 years. Another group tried to just rent the house for a year, and that backfired. They weren't getting the house kept nice, and they had done the house over, completely gutted the house. It was really nice what they did, the contractors. Now the third couple are a little older, and they love the house, and they are doing a lot of yard work. The neighbor was upset because they cut this big tree down in the back, and she said Paul would have been upset. I said, well, Jack, I said, her name I don't know, I can't even remember what I changed her name with, but I just said to her, I said, you can't have this tree falling on the house because it's in bad shape. So they put a lovely patio, they put a privacy fence. So from what I've heard, there's nothing even really going on, because my son says to me, everything's at our house. That's why there's nothing there. You can transfer to our house.
And that was the real house in the.
Was that the real house in on the show, or was that just a?
Oh, the house that they showed. Yeah. That wasn't the real house.
Okay.
But they did a really good job of presenting the way the house looked like inside and the
recreating.
Basement. And it was more of a rancher. It wasn't a 2-story house. It was a rancher that had a lot of space in the basement. And and of course, when they showed my house, I have a Cape Cod, but that wasn't my house either. But it's pretty similar to in the style that I live in. And the neighborhood was. They did take some nice pictures of Havertown. In fact, I recognized some neighborhood homes that they took the pictures. So they were really close to where I live. That took some of the pictures that they did. So.
They did. I think they did a really good and respectful job. You know how some shows take a lot of liberties. And Kelly's got a question. While she's doing that, I'm going to log in, see if I can log into the chat room and see if people have questions. So, Kelly, go right ahead.
Well, I just had
delve into this.
I had a couple of questions. I was just wondering if have there been any archaeologists that have looked through some of those things? And
good question.
No, actually, they're labeled into categories, and some things that I recognize are just mostly souvenir pieces, but there are pieces that should have a museum or an archaeologist take a look. There's Indian moccasins that are a child, and they're layered with beaver that I know they have to date from the 1800s. A child's cradle board. We have spear points and bows and arrows that I know some things had been recreated, but he does have some beautiful pottery and some other dolls and things that I've actually put it in different types of categories where things that are just sort of things that could get sold that are just household things that that we thought were better looking, that could be sold for whatever, and decorative pieces. I've got all his log books, which are going to be something that one day I'm going to have to go through all his diaries, and some of the things I did go through, but the diaries are of his exploits, the different things that he went through. And it's just generally just trying to assess what, I have a pretty good eye. I've worked with him on seeing some of his work, and I know what his things that might have a little value. Some are just purely decorative and just souvenir quality. But he's got some beautiful pieces that the family, they mostly got their pictures and carvings and things that were from the great-grandfathers. Their iron crosses that I came across. Anything that was jewelry that belonged to the mother did that.
So there were some religious artifacts?
Yes. There was there's 1 or 2 boxes of Madonnas, religious statues. He was very spiritual because he had one time studied for the Lutheran ministry before he decided to become an anthropologist. So he was a person who had deep faith, and he tried to really spread that belief through all the different cultures and the belief systems because he was an anthropologist. But he had a really great love for for St. Patrick, and he would do programs on the saints, the different saints, or the Madonnas, the statues, who carved them. Very unique in his perspective. He just knew so much about everything in the different world cultures.
Well, Anita, one of the people in our chat room wants to know, Twister Dar1 wants to know, what is the creepiest thing that has happened to you through this experience?
I think having the threats directed right at me through EVPs or being through white noise on a broadcast and calling me the most foul and awful names. Yeah, and they're actually, they're threatening me. They're going to throw me downstairs. They're going to throw acid in my face because of what I've learned and what I'm going to present in the second book, because these entities know that I got their number, and we're going to talk. But they're not going to hide anymore. They should have kept hidden and not bother my son or I at my friend's house, because then we would never know anything about this.
Because now it's on. So to speak.
They've impacted my family's life, myself, for these last 6 years. By intimidation, they do things in the house. Sometimes I know it's just very mischievous things that maybe we have children ghosts that come through our property because we're on a really old property. They don't mean us any harm. That's just fun stuff that they try to, just play tricks on us. But when you get sinister, dark, evil things threatening our Laurie, our medium, she's been frightened. She won't. We've had cameramen here who set up their camera in my hallway, and after 2 hours of videotaping, when it goes back to the camera's completely destroyed. It's fried. Nothing could be salvaged. So he has no idea what he was capturing, but they do not want to be filmed. They do not want to be, talked about. But guess what? You want to hang around my house and you want to cause me problems, and I'm going to tell people that you don't belong here. And my son, of course, when you talk to him, he can tell you more about the dreams that he's had that deal with.
Yes.
I'm really interested in that. Yeah, because that's a part of
Kelly.
A part of it.
Kelly has told me that, and what about you, Anita? Has that demonic entity ever put you in a state of, like, you knew they weren't your own thoughts?
Yes.
Like, give us some examples.
I'll tell you, when I was here as a single parent and had my son, it was, day in and day out a grind. I'm trying to work. I was working 4 part-time jobs,
right,
trying to take care of my son. My parents helped out. But I told Chris years later, I said, when I would walk in a certain part of the hallway at the bottom of the steps, and it might have been where Chris maybe did something he shouldn't, and I was upset with him, and I said to him, I want you to go upstairs because Mommy's really, really angry. And I'll tell you, the thoughts that crossed my head, and I know I actually would get a chill, and something would tell me to murder my son, to kill him. And it was like, what is this thing? This is not me. What's about murdering somebody? And now I know why.
I want Kelly to share with you. I know, because going through this, Kelly, I think you sharing this with Anita will also make her feel maybe not so alone.
Well, I know that when I, in retrospect, it's very easy to know that those thoughts were not me. I know who I am, and those thoughts were not my thoughts. I remember there was one time there was a couple walking their dog down our, we live in the suburbs. It's a nice neighborhood. People are walking up and down the street with their dogs, and all I saw was a bloodbath. I just looked at them, and something inside me just roared, and I had this thought, like you said, and it scared me so bad. And then there was another time, it was years ago, and I knew then that I had that something was not right, something was going on. There was a little old man walking across the street, and if you know me, I love animals, I love elderly people, and I love babies. I would never hurt a fly. And there was
definitely not my
and there was a man walking across the street, and I would have never hit him, but I put on the gas because I just wanted to scare him. And I remember him looking at me, and I looked at him, and it snapped me out of it. And I pulled over to the side and just cried and cried and cried because I knew that there was some, and that's when I reached out for help to a Catholic, the Catholic community.
It's been so strange that the area where I would pick up, almost this chill would go through me, and this horrible images of, like hurting your son, or, which I never, ever,
right.
Even when he was getting punished, he was always like, okay, I'm taking privileges away. I've never, he was the light of my life, this kid. And when we then, through these last years, seeing the shadow man in the same hallway, in the same spot, and to find out now, and, and actually Chris was the one that came to me and said, Mom, there's this guy, the shadow man, maybe it's the same one you've seen in the hallway. And I said, and that's also in the show, The Haunting. There's they touch on that cat, if you
the
saw
shadow man,
confronted with this man in the backyard, and he's a former resident, and he told Chris he went to prison for murdering his wife, and he had this big black wolf-like dog with red eyes.
Yes, I wanted
to. Scared Chris so terribly, like in his dream. And this is what he was a man who lived here in the 1900s, who literally killed his wife and went to jail, and he was hanging around here. Now, the last time Bill was here, back last year, that has not been seen since. The shadow man is gone, and Bill said he had almost on a one level, a lot of these superficial kind of entities were gone. We actually heard them leaving. There were popping noises. There was bangs, and Bill was saying they're leaving. You could hear them leaving. But he also warned us because of the nature of our property, the amount of living and dying, things that have not been discovered yet, and also what we've got in the house. He said, Anita, it's not through. He said, we're going to have to come every so often. I want to give you a deep cleansing of the house and spiritual, prayers, which we welcome all the time. When he comes, it's like such a relief, when he's here. And so it was good for a while, but then the day after my program was on, that's December 28th, well, Monday the 29th, I go in my bathroom and there's these handprints on my mirror that are not human. And, they know that they're scaring me. There's like 4 sets of handprints on my upstairs mirror, and they came through the mirror with these creatures. So it's, and Bill said, that's not good. He said, they're at it again. Yeah. I said, well, they're always trying to
they never, I think that you learn how to protect yourself, but we're in the middle of spiritual warfare as it is. And I think that we have to, on a daily basis, protect ourselves, with light and the prayers, but they're everywhere, they're everywhere. But I was going to ask also, did I hear you say, Heather, there's a sequel coming to your your book?
Is that okay? Yeah, tell us about, because clearly where the show ended and your book ended was you've got all this stuff in your basement, right? And now what do you do with that? Like, from the time where the show and the book ended, what are some of the things that have happened that people can look forward to that are going to be in the book?
Is it going to be healing, or I don't know? I'm excited.
Me too.
Well, there's many different chapters that we are putting into a kind of a format. Some of it at the beginning will be a little bit more time coded, giving people a sense of when did this start, right after the ending of the first book. When did things start at my house, and it gives you a little bit of an idea from the show and the first book. But it happened within a 2-month period. It happened on a Christmas Eve. Started having poltergeist activity.
Really? When did that start?
It just came out of the blue that we thought, well, we settled the house got sold. We do have things in the house. Now we'll take our time to go through and see, what we can sell and get rid of it. But I couldn't even catch my breath because we were just about in the holiday mood. And here on Christmas Eve, we're having breakfast and things are getting thrown against the front door in my house. And Chris looked at me and he said, I don't even want to believe, because he knew from the sound that it was paranormal. He said, something just got thrown, Mom. You and I are in the kitchen. Who just did this? And we didn't even want to acknowledge it. But then something else got thrown. And then we were upstairs upstairs. He was going to go get a quick shower. We were planning to be at my parents' house for the 7 fish dinner, which the Italians do for the holiday, for Christmas Eve. And I was sitting in my bedroom, and I just happened to look as he's walking into the bathroom in the hallway, and I see a shadow follow him, go right in after him, and within 2 seconds, all his shaver came flying out the door and hit against the wall in the hallway. And he was like, what just happened here? And when I went to bend down to pick up the pieces, I said, Chris, what's going on? And I could see the shadow thing just run down the steps. And I just put my hands up. I go, oh no. And I was like crying. Because
it's like, it's not over.
I'm here now. I thought we were done with this. And I called on my friend, Paul. I said, Paul, I don't know what this is. Like, what got brought in here? Could you please help us? And things did quiet down after that. But that was just the beginning of then starting at my house, that we were going to have incidents where if you saw the program, our lights all went out unexpectedly. Like the second day of the new year, Everybody else's house lights were on. Ours was the only one that was dark. And we didn't know if it was a fuse box. We couldn't tell because everything was so pitch black. We couldn't go downstairs, even with our, like flashlight. We really didn't want to because we were getting things thrown at us in the dark. Talk about scary. Like you're walking, you have something hitting you on the back of your shoulder, and you're seeing your Christmas decorations being picked up and put on another chair. It's like, wait a minute, what's going on? And my son and I were huddled under a blanket for 3 hours in the cold, 9 o'clock till 12 o'clock at night, watching a video show on his computer because all the electricity was out, and we had our candles flickering. And he said, "I'm not going. I'm not going anywhere. The lights go on. I'm not going upstairs to the bed," because there was just so much weird stuff going on. That whole 3 hours in the dark, noises and things being thrown. The next day when we had daylight, I could finally see what was on the floor: paper clips and like little keychains and books. And, it was just things got
just all over
around the place.
I want to clarify for some of the people entering the chat room. More people are coming in. So DJ Lightbeats, Anita does not live in Paul's house. No. Paul was her friend that had passed away. If you guys came late to the show, and she became the curator, and he left her a lot of these objects that he got on his travels and in his work. So what happened is after the house sold, well, all those objects came to Anita's, and they're now in her basement. So now she basically has brought the haunting with her. It is in her basement. And the object that has created this portal, which we'll talk about, these objects are now in Anita's home. So she does not live in Paul's home, but yes, she is living in the, her own home. Now, what she was starting to tell you guys is that her property sits on, tell us again, Anita?
It's on the property of an old farmhouse from the 1800s. We're on our foundation of our house is built into that foundation. And
didn't you say that there's a chimney in the basement?
There's a fireplace in the basement.
Wow.
That, and I can send you some pictures.
Yes.
A lot of old brick makes up that part of that fireplace. And there's some newer material. But that's the oldest part of the house, is that chimney. And we get columns of energy comes from that bottom fireplace. And we have a fireplace on the first floor. And Christopher, my son, captured lights coming out of we have glass doors in front of the fireplace, but he saw different little emanating lights, blue and white lights coming out of there while we were on an interview for the production people that were going to get what they're doing the show for us. But he was in one room talking to the producer, and I was in another room. And after that, he was taking pictures. He said, "Mom, you should see what was going on," while we were talking to the producer. He said, "There's lights going on inside the in the fireplace," and I had never seen that before.
Do they think it's a portal, the fireplace?
Yeah. That's one of them. Bill Bean singled out another big area in our basement in a corner that is a portal. There's a back area, the portal. There's a portal in my son's room that we kind of knew, but we didn't tell Bill. He's the one who told us, and I said, "Yeah, you're right on target, Bill. Like, these are areas where we're getting a lot of activity."
Do you have any paranormal tools that you use? I'm sure you've got an EVP recorder. I know you take pictures, cameras.
Yes.
Do you have anything else that you use to monitor it, or do you try to stay away from doing that?
We have used like the plumb bob with a little crystal, and the crystal actually came out of my friend's house, and it was actually came down from the ceiling, and it's a crystal pendant. And when I've held it, the thing will move very violently in certain parts. But I don't use it that much. We don't like to encourage too much of like even gathering the EVPs, but we one time just did. Like my son said, there was something very foul smelling in our living room, and I said, well, do you think something's trying to communicate? And he said, well, Mom, he said, you know what? If it's kids or whatever, maybe we should just try. We never tried to provoke, but I started singing Civil War songs, you know, like Turkey in the Straw, like something little children.
I love that song.
You know, an old type of song. And I kept it up, and Chris was filming. You never saw so many orbs coming to me and around the fireplace and squishing by my son. And we don't usually pick up on that if we're just taking pictures of the living room. But I actually encouraged it and told the kids to come to the carnival and let's have singing. And we had balloons that my son had been hurt. He had balloons from a get well thing. And it was like, my son said, keep doing it, Mom. They're coming. You should see they're just coming around you, that they're gravitating towards you.
Wow. Kelly, you had a question.
Yes. I was going to ask you, at what point did you realize that, okay, first of all, was there activity in your house before this happened at your friend's house? Did you ever have any activity before?
Yeah, good question.
Nothing that I was actually aware of. Now I look back and there possibly was some noises and, you know, just you're ignoring things, you know, I'm just hearing something like in our breezeway. It would sound like a door would open and then nobody would be there. So I thought, well, you know, maybe it's the wind. But actually now with my son, Chris, he used to talk about an imaginary friend when he was little. He was a little bit upset about, I do Renaissance art and Renaissance painting, so I had a Renaissance lady's portrait hanging in the hallway, and you could see a little bit of it in his bedroom. So then he was starting to get scared and say, oh, the lady's looking at me, and he'd come running in my bedroom. I said, well, look, honey, I'll take the lady down. I'll take the picture down if it's making you afraid. But even after I took that down, he still was telling me that somebody was looking at him or being near him in his room. So then he outgrew that. That happened for like a year or two, but it didn't really then activate again until his, you know, later years that he was helping me at my friend's house. And I think it was the trauma of being singled out and maybe becoming aware of what was going on, this energy that really brought it to the surface again. And so he started having these really vivid, really lucid dreams, and people coming to him with facts and dates and numbers, and he was able to look up these people, and they really had just recently passed away, and some of them were quite historically connected. So it was pretty amazing.
That is amazing.
It's very interesting, Anita. Right when you were talking about the orbs or the colors dancing above the fireplace, the chimney, one of our viewers, Sandra Whiteley, she drew a picture, and this is before you said this. I'm going to see if you can see this. I'm not sure if you can see it.
Yes.
Okay. She drew basically stones and aqua color circles above it. So I think that this
I know that.
You know that?
Yeah.
Tell me about that, Sandra.
Who did this?
Sandra Whiteley.
Oh, okay.
She's in chat room, and she drew this. Tell me what this means to you, Anita.
Christopher drew that same picture at Paul's.
Are you kidding me?
In Paul's living room. And he talked about Masada, and you know that because that looks like the step pyramid of Saqqara, but Chris kept insisting it was Masada, which is where the Jews committed suicide during the Roman times. This was a step, like sort of a minaret or a step pyramid. But Chris has drawn that. He drew that at Paul's house, that same structure, which we're still trying to find out. He wrote down some words that are in the foreign language, and we don't know what it means. It's just really, it's so strange that she did. See, that's also Mayan. That's a Mayan.
That is a Mayan.
Temple. Also.
There's so much. A lot of people in the chat room are getting information, which I find is very interesting. Again, like with Chris, there's so many layers to this, and I don't want to give away everything that's in the upcoming book, but I would sure like to have even, we've got about 15 more minutes on this show, but will you come back and talk to me again too?
Oh yes, definitely, hon. Anything that you need, I'll be glad to help you out. You and I, there's some more aspects of this that we've talked about that I think are pretty interesting, right? Oh my gosh, it's life-changing what you told.
Yes.
It's really,
it's incredible. For the viewers, there are no mistakes. When people, just like with Paul and Anita in getting these objects and the positives that come out of this, and in mine and Kelly's relationship, meeting her, you meet people for a reason, and you come together to battle this life that we live in, and really our past lives. So a whole other show, I think, Anita, you and I are going to have a talk about that, because there are some things that Anita and I spoke of that tie into past lives that we both experienced and both have memories of and have been led to. So you guys will want to be watching for this interview, because it's a whole other kind of paranormal topic. Yeah, it's a whole paranormal topic. Tell me, if I'm a viewer watching and I'm going to get the new book, what is the biggest thing that it's going to tell us about, Anita?
I'm hoping that it will answer questions from the first book, and this is what I've been delving in with a research assistant that I've had who's gone to Washington, D.C., and also to College Park, Maryland. We're getting the different documents that we need to sort of, give us the background to what I'm discovering about my friend's family and what their connections were that are really, all I can say is it went beyond my expectation. I never dreamed that the family had these kinds of secrets. So some of these secrets going to be revealed. The research that we've done, we've got bona fide facts, that now I don't have to wonder. I do know now.
You mean Paul's family? You mean your next book? You said facts about his family?
Yeah, more about it.
That are revealing. Is there a battle ground spiritually in your home between, in your opinion, the psychic and mediums, Bill Bean's opinion? There's like a battlefield going on down in your house. The spirits of your property are now battling with the spirits, entities in your objects, in Paul's things.
Yes. Well, it's whatever is this very, very powerful object that is a shapeshifter. It's it's something that we are looking into also to see. Maybe there's other documentations on something similar to this, from the UFO community, because the object has been stated that it is not
interdimensional. I'm gonna have to tell you, I completely 100% concur with that. This is an interdimensional being. It has the ability to come and go between our dimension and its dimensions. And I will also tell you that there are many of these interdimensional beings all around the world. And in the veil, as you and I talked about, is thinning. And as that thins, we're going to be seeing more of these interdimensional beings, demonic and angelic, because there are beings that are crossing into our world interdimensionally that want to protect us from these interdimensional demonic entities. So that is some of that going to be in the book?
Yes, because Bill Bean has been our sort of our mentor. He's taken this under his wings. It's almost like a pun because we consider him a warrior, almost like Gabriel, like the soldier warrior, and taking us under his wings. But he is 100% behind us. He wants to protect us. He knows that there is something, really a final kind of battle that might have to be waged here. The more that we are discovering and uncovering, it's preventing whatever he's done to keep the lid on things. These entities, they're not going to have it. They want this to be revealed, and because of what I'm bringing forth in the book about my friend's family, what some of these things were all about, and the people that were wrong, we hope to bring justice. And people finally realize certain things were done in a horrendous way, and this has to get out there. And we're actually literally being stopped trying to do this through psychic means. When you and I were talking, Heather, Kat, our phone conversation was constantly interrupted by. It was the craziest thing to hear this on cell phone.
Really?
We could both hear while we were on the phone, exchanging information. Neither one of us mentioned there. We could hear voices. We could hear things going on. The connection, it was trying to cut us off a whole lot like at the beginning of this show.
Yes.
I mean, now
it was it sounded like a dog barking, but it was very strange in the distance. There was like a baby or a cat meowing, which we have a cat spirit that's connected with my friend. That figures it's in the first book.
Yes.
Also, a man saying like stop talking.
Stop talking.
Yeah, stop talking. And then it was just like weird noises, just things that were just trying to get you to get off the phone.
We get that a lot.
To stop what we were doing, and we were just continuing.
We just continued.
Heather and I do that a lot, and it's like when you're trying to reach to the light and you're trying to overcome darkness, you get that a lot from the darkness, don't you think?
Darkness doesn't want you, because rest assured, darkness knows
when
my name, it knows her name, it knows you, it knows that we're going to be warriors for one another in this battle. And if enough of us come together, regardless of who it is, we can make a difference in helping others battle this, because it is very real. And let me ask you this as we're edging closer to this last 10 minutes. Do you ever get afraid when you're at home now that you live there alone?
Normally, I would say 95 or 98% of the time I'm pretty good. But is when something suddenly falls from my window, like my sun catcher, they make a big bang, and it's
tell me about that, or tell our viewers about the sun catcher.
I have a little sun catcher that's a cardinal, and that came from Paul's house. But I also have larger sun catchers above. I have two of them hanging on my big window in my kitchen, and some of the guns are constantly taking down the smaller sun catcher. But when they were taking it down, I would hear this crash. I said, I don't know who's doing this, but this is like a mom. I'm talking. Don't you dare break anything on my shelf, because I have little things that I have little souvenirs, and I thought, you can't break any of my stuff. This is my stuff. So when the sun catcher comes down, they just place it carefully between. Nothing breaks. It's just you hear this big loud noise and go, oh, they broke something.
They broke it.
And it's perfectly in between, like they didn't hurt anything. I was telling Kat, I posted something last week on my blog about Sophie Scholl and the White Rose, and as soon as I was posting the blog, the sun catcher comes down off the window.
interview you and I are going to do about the White Rose, Germany.
Wow.
Sophie, who I was in that past life, who you were. For the viewers out there, you guys are not going to want to miss this show because Anita and I have been pretty blown away by this. Wow.
That's awesome.
I never would have known this until my son had the dream. We did not know that this ever existed. And, this deceased woman came to him, gave him all this information. And it's been, and then I started doing my research. I would have never known unless she came to him and talked about the White Rose and now and also the 3 of the 6 people that have been executed at that point. Chris got the names. He was told who they were, and it just he just was so drained. He said, he just sat face down on his bed this one morning and said, "Mom, grab paper and pencil," and I just wrote like 4 pages of stuff that he's just given me. And it's like incredible. And we went back and looked at it. What does this mean? And then we find out all the meaning behind it. It was just the most incredible thing to have a son like that.
You do. And you know what? I think that this whole other thing that we're going to talk about it the next time, boy, do I think that would be a good book. I think you've got some interesting work ahead of you on all avenues.
Yeah.
Are there going to be
a work in progress? I've got
what's the name of it? Do you know what you're going to name it yet? The book?
Yes, it's called Dark Transference is the title. Dark Transference, the sequel to The State of Horror. So,
do you have an estimate on when you think that one might be released?
I've got about 20 chapters that are pretty much in the queue that my agent is just going through the things, editing. Then I want to finish the last part of it, and it's almost like things are happening.
That's what I was gonna. Are they trying to keep you from getting it done? And what sorts of things have been happening to try to keep you from getting this published?
Well, when Chris and I just talked about it yesterday, because exactly on his computer, he has a chapter 6 that he was writing for me when we've been doing the manuscript, and he came over with his laptop, set up in the living room, not too far from the fireplace where we get a little activity. And I was going through my notes, and he was typing up while I was dictating. I said, "Chris, just get a rough draft down." I said, "Don't worry about the different paragraphs." I said, "Just keep typing, and then, I'll know where to do the paragraphs, and I'll go back and, check the grammar." I said, "Because you're typing so fast," but he's really good. He's always been a great speller and very good with English because he likes to write himself. Well, he did about 4 pages for me, and I said, "That's good for now, Chris." I said, "It gives me a base. Send that to me, to my email. Let me download this part of the chapters, and I'll go back and refine it." Well, when I opened it up that night, these 6, I guess it was like 4 to 6 pages, I'm reading this, and I'm laughing and also so seriously concerned about, what did my son just write down here? I can't even go into it but it is hilarious. It is vile as far as the horrible word, but it is so clever the way these entities took my writing and completely changed it around and took words. There's one part where we were talking about how my son was eating peanut butter out of a jar, and a red lid just flew from his TV table onto a love seat. Well, the love seat is called the hate seat, the way they changed the lid fell on the hate seat. I'm going down to the basement. I'm going down to hell. So they changed words where the whole meaning was changed. Wow. There's this section we were talking about the Civil War tunnels in my backyard, and they started using racial epithets to explain about the slaves are in the back. It's like, Chris said, "I can't believe this is on here." He said, "Mom, it's done in a clipped English that somebody had an accent because the wording is not like the way you would flow and talk." And had my friend's real name came up and his father's real name came up right in between the sentences
Pretty
in capital
amazing.
letters.
That is incredible.
And there's a section at the end, maybe 7, 8 lines at least, all in gobbledygook, but my son said it looks like an anagram, and there's German words in it that say, be afraid, be afraid, be afraid. It's all gobbled in.
Wow.
And it says, have fun, die. It tells me how fun.
Wow.
And that's what's all in this, all these like letters and numbers and things just joined together. And we preserved it on the time code because it's still on his computer. It was still the way he typed, but he doesn't remember typing that at all. I mean, he was like, I didn't type that. I said, I know you didn't, honey. You would never type something like this.
Oh,
it's really,
wow.
It's sexually, explicit, very racially, bloated. And
Talk about ghostwriting.
This would be such a good movie.
Oh,
because
God, yeah.
the journey from where it started to where it is and how you've overcome it, you never see that in Hollywood.
No.
You never see where the people actually win over the negative spirit.
But you're going to
But
win.
you're typing and a spirit is actually taking you over or changing as you're typing. But it was so, I said to Chris, I know how fast you typed, so you wouldn't even have a chance to figure out, well, let me insert this or something.
Right.
It just doesn't make sense. But doing the things on the radio show, stopping us from talking, doing that to intimidate me. We've had other, I have another transcript that's going to be in the book from when I was on last May, and horrible stuff, horrible transcript, the stuff and the people in the chat room could not believe what they were hearing was so blatant and explicit.
Wow.
And they just said, boy, she's haunted.
She's haunted. Oh, I cannot wait for our next interview. Okay, the show, we've got about 1 minute before this live feed will end.
Okay.
So we will, I want to do some shout outs for
Hi,
all the
Tiffy.
people that, Tiffy, Barry, to all the people who came to the chat
Lauren,
to see you today. Lauren
wants some haunted kitties in her house.
right,
She said.
she'd like a haunted kitty. Shout out She-Wolf, Fart Warrior, Wolf Height, High Speed, Putty Tat,
That's probably
Dark
Lauren.
Magician, let's see here, Stephanie, High Low Drag, Sandra, all you guys, thank you for joining us this afternoon. Big Balls, Twister. Okay, some of these names are killing me.
And be sure they all need to read the book. And
read the book.
where you can find the show. Well, I think we posted the link to the show.
Yes.
Thanks.
Yes, thank you for doing that.
Yes. And Anita, I will talk to you this week via phone. And thank you for spending Sunday with us. And I can't wait to see Chris's shop in the next interview. And then you and I will talk this week about the next interview with you and this other interesting stuff.
That would be great, Kat. And as I said, just figure out we'll coordinate a time and we'll get that done. And it was so much fun talking to you before. And well, maybe this time you said you might put a recorder next to the phone conversation.
Exactly, because I want to see what EVPs, especially when we go to Chris's store. So,
oh my gosh, yeah. It's we actually had Bill Bean come to the store, and he blessed the store for Chris. So we're happy about that.
Yeah, that's always
no chances.
Yeah, no chances. No hitchhikers.
That's right. That's right.
So.
I want to thank you so much, Kat and Kelly. It was so nice sharing the afternoon with you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You as well.
You as well. And I look forward. I'll talk to you this week, and then we'll get the next show with Chris and then with you booked, and we'll bring some more interesting and cool stuff.
Oh, definitely. And you'll have to let me know if you want to send your dolls for me to fix that, Kat.
Yes. and hey, some of our members were saying, asking, have you ever thought about, or do you ever make available any of the pieces from that collection, or is everything that's left the real valuable stuff that you are keeping? Do you ever
We're actually going to be doing a paranormal
Auction?
We're going to be selling
Thank
some
you.
of the stuff.
Yay!
And,
Okay.
Yeah,
Awesome.
my agent, she's also an attorney. We're trying to make it where we'll have actual certificates for people to know that these actually are pieces that came from the estate of horror. But then also disclaimer, we do not guarantee if it's haunted, and if it is haunted, don't come after me for a refund because
right. Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's the thing. You don't know which thing it's going to be, so it could be.
Yeah, yeah, and we'll talk more about that thing that can't be found.
Yeah, but people stay tuned because especially with the second book, we're definitely going to be releasing. It's going to be maybe done in different sections because there's so much stuff. I have thousands of items packed away. And,
I cannot wait.
Some things are just very traditional, just beautiful.
Yes.
China pieces, and there's beautiful pewter. He used to collect all types of things like that. I have like 30 dolls from the Franklin Mint that he collected. Beautiful. The Princess Diana. I have Cleopatra.
Okay, yeah. We're gonna have to talk.
Yeah, I've got some nice dolls that I might want to sell too.
Yeah, and you know what? You know me and my not only dolls, but my affinity for things that have possible spirit attachments. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, it's pretty interesting. It's a very eclectic mix of stuff. So, we're definitely looking to do that. We even have a lot of books that were left from his archaeological days. He left me things, and it's pretty much up to my discretion. I mean, I can't use everything, so there's even going to be some old books and things that he collected. Cool. This guy collected everything and anything you can imagine. So
that sounds like someone else.
It's so incredible, to be among this stuff. So.
Well, cool. Well, I will talk to you this week, my friend.
All right.
And we look forward to it.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for having me on your show.
Okay. Thanks. We'll talk to you soon, Anita.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Have a good evening, man. Take care.
Thanks. You too. Bye.
Bye.
And I think when you guys, I don't actually know this. I think that when the show actually ends, they can visually see us, but they can't hear us. So, you know what? Hold on. I just want to test this. Can you hear me? If they can, then I do want to say a few things. Can you hear me still? Okay. Can you guys hear me?
I'm texting Lauren because she's supposed to be.
Okay, yeah, please. Can you guys? Okay, so Sandra, you can hear me saying your name. You guys could hear Anita all the way through the end. Yes.
Oh, what an amazing show!
I would have kept I thought that the live feed was going to just cut off.
Yeah.
So
what an amazing lady!
I know.
An amazing show, and
guys,
that book.
If you guys, and I've got the chat room up. And hey, listen, guys, we really appreciate your patience with us in the live shows. Every show is going to get better. For instance, last night I used a different computer. I think this setup worked really a ton better than last night.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'll be investing more money in high dollar cameras and audio and so forth to bring you guys better and better shows. I want to tell you that, first of all, we have these shows that are going to be booked. We're also going to be doing a show coming up about if people have had things that have affected them in a demonic way. Kelly has a very personal story, and together I think we can present that. I think it's been a long time coming, and how you can overcome that. And also, we're doing a haunted hotel series, and we have an additional new member of our team, and her name is Des. And I think you guys are going to love Des. And we're going to be going to some of the most haunted hotels in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And we're going to be doing live broadcast from these, so you guys can come with us.
And we'll probably end them in bed like we always do.
And by the way, guys, for those of you who wonder why Kat, Kelly, Steph, Barry, why are we always in Kat's bedroom? Well, because Kat is not, well, it is fun. And this is where all of my spiritual things are. This is, you know, all of, it's actually just such a good energy, but I also, you know, physically with my health and stuff, I need to be able to do this in, Barry, our lead tech, that totally threw us right there. Yeah. And you know, you just never know what's going to come up when we're hanging out in the bedroom. It just makes it so much more interesting. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show.
Thank you so much for supporting us. It means so much to us.
And the fact that you guys are coming and watching means at least 19, 20, 30 of you like us. And you know what? That's all we really care about. We love you guys. And again, hey, Wolf, hi. I'm glad you subscribed. She-Wolf Moon. Let's see, who else? And this was a good thing, too, that we didn't think of last night is my tablet, which is where I have all of my stuff, my GB1, GB Riff, SCD1, all of that. This is where this actually is a really good alternative that either one or the other of us are able to be in the chat room. So we'll be using that, and I'll be able to interact with you guys a little bit more. All right. I hope for us, I have kiddos that are on spring break this next week. So I may be bringing some more shows to you guys, and I may have my paranormal team right here, just like we had Anita doing some shows this week. You up for that, Kelly?
Absolutely.
All right, cool. All right, guys. Well, we really appreciate you guys watching.
Thank you so much. And be sure and tell your friends to
thumbs up and subscribe.
Yeah, we had 400 views from last night's show. And I think the more people we tell, the more friends that we can get and the bigger difference that we can all make.
And we do request you guys. So if you have a show on something paranormal, spiritual, UFO, Bigfoot, it doesn't have to just be ghost boxes or what. We're going to bring you all kinds of interesting things. And if you have a request or something, hey, you guys are here to watch the shows. We want to do what you want to see. So, yeah. Do you have any? Let's see. You know, I will say I want to be sure everyone can still hear me. Can you guys still hear me? If you can still hear me, say yes. Hopefully you can still hear me. And now I completely forgot what I was going to say. I was going to say that during the first part of the show, you will see I was actually being very physically affected, attacked. I had,
oh, yeah.
I had things going through. Can you guys hear me? Somebody say yes if you can hear me. Anyone? Call Barry.
Okay.
Because if they can't, if you guys can hear me, I want to tell you yes. Thank you, Putty. Okay. You guys can hear us. I want to kind of, okay. I want to know about you guys in the room. Just before we go, all right? Play some rock and roll sign off music. I wonder who that came through. Listen, I was really affected I couldn't breathe at one point.
Mm-hmm.
I was getting sharp pain in my back, my middle back. Were you guys in the room? And Kelly, were you getting some physical?
I sent you a couple of notes. I couldn't sit up.
Were any of you guys in the chat room that were here early? Did anybody have any? Were you guys feeling anything? And I'm reading what you're typing. Putty, yes, I can see the chat now this way really well. So the next show that I do this week, I'm even going to be able to see the chat room here, and other team members will have access to the room so that they can also chat with you guys. But when I'm doing this,
we had nice people today. We didn't have to throw anybody out today, right?
We didn't have to throw anyone out today. No, I think everyone behaved. I hope everybody behaved, because really, you know, guys, this is supposed to be enjoyable. So, yeah.
We're passionate in what we love, and there's no reason to be nasty. And we had some nastiness last night, so thank y'all so much for the good guys being here.
Yeah, thanks for viewing, and I hope you guys have a blessed day.
Yes.
And as always, love and light. We love you guys, and we'll see you again this week, really, really soon. All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.